Welcome to the Home Business Podcast with Richard Captain Henderson, publisher of Home Business Magazine, and Sherilyn Colleen, managing editor. This how-to show helps you successfully operate your home-based business.
Greetings and welcome to the Home Business Podcast. I'm Richard Captain Henderson, your skipper at Home Business TV.
And I'm Lynn, your co-host.
Let's cure for C and get underway. From advertising to educational technology, video games and opera, to fashion, film, and 3D printing, and even augmented reality. Entrepreneurs in the creative industries are thriving.
The creative economy contributes over $700 billion annually to the U.S. economy. Much of this work can be performed at home.
But entrepreneurs in the heart of this creative economy struggle to find support to meet unique needs as founders of high-growth industries.
The creative economy represents a bright avenue for equitable, economically stable startup opportunities.
Enlightening us today on the creative economy is Tom Augustin, who is author of Creative Startups.
So greetings, Tom Augustin. Welcome to the Home Business Podcast. Say hello.
Oh, thank you. Good to be here.
Hey, thanks. So where are you connecting in from today?
From Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Oh, is that, what part? Is that kind of up in the mountains or more in the desert area? Or?
Mountains are right out the window. Yeah.
Oh, hey, it must be beautiful.
It is. Yes.
keeps you inspired in to working a creative business.
It is. It's a city of many artists, actually.
Let's get started by explaining the creative economy to our viewers. Tom, what is the creative economy and how does it differ from arts and culture?
It arose out of arts and culture, most of the sectors. But what really opened up the creative economy is the digital economy. And that changed everything. So, for example, it allows for more documentaries because all cameras are now digital. So that brings down the price of entry into doing documentaries. It's opened up the design sector so that you can actually now today, using the internet, design internationally. You can have partners in design in other countries. So it's really opened up, and it's also influencing the arts and culture economy a great deal.
So kind of like how this got started is before the online world and before technology, you'd have to have some pretty large teams to work in some kind of a creative industry. Even kind of like my podcast here, where you'd have to have a whole large team to do it. But now with technology and then being able to link internationally with support, it's opened up a lot more opportunity then.
Exactly, right. Your ability to do it because of all the digital tools you have allows for that. And it allows for a lot of businesses in homes to get started and continue.
Let's talk a little bit about that. You know, many creative entrepreneurs do work from home. You know, so let's talk a little bit more about who are, you know, the creative entrepreneurs. You know, who are they and how are they similar and how are they different than other entrepreneurs?
Well, for example, a writer can now work from home writing for the script of video games because every video game needs an author. And so that's available now. A book author can be moving his text or her text back and forth with publishers. And in fact, you can download the book now so that it opens up all types of opportunities in photography and education technology and areas such as that. And then it has expanded into AI, 3D printing that can also be done in your home.
So it's probably safe to assume that as a creative and entrepreneur, you're going to have to use technology more and be more adept with technology than, you know, the average entrepreneur.
No question about it. You know, start with a really good computer, a smartphone, and some other tools, and you can operate that from home. easily and have a business. You can be a consultant and do the same.
Mm-hmm. Well, before moving on to our next topic, I'd like to highlight this show's sponsor, Marble Life. Startup an exciting franchise in marble surface renovation. Use Marble Life's proprietary restoration systems. Partner with an established brand with the know-how, experience, and accounts to help enable your success. More info, call 888-988-7520 or visit marblelifefranchise.com or our podcast website for more information on sponsors.
Many home business owners work in what is termed the knowledge economy. Tom, how is the creative economy replacing the knowledge economy?
Actually, it's not replacing it. It is integral to the creative economy, the knowledge economy. The knowledge economy, the digital economy have all merged together in this creative economy. So it is actually now expanding globally so that anybody from Lakeville, Minnesota can reach someone in Hong Kong and collaborate. So that's the great part of it. And there's knowledge moving back and forth every day now.
So we're all kind of familiar with the knowledge economy, has been with us for a while. So in a way, the creative economy builds on the knowledge economy and maybe is sort of like the next evolution of the knowledge economy.
It is, yeah, along with so many other new sectors. So it's just exploding, and it's exciting, and it opens up opportunities for entrepreneurs.
Just kind of on a sidetrack here, it's not, it's really dependent on the internet and online. Are you finding that worldwide the internet and online connectivity is good enough and is not a limiting factor in exploiting the creative economy?
It's a very limiting factor if you live in communities without broadband. And the more broadband and the wider the broadband, the fat pipe idea that you can bring into rural areas enhances economic development, for example, in rural areas. But even in cities and rural areas, if you don't have broadband, then it's a huge deficit in starting a business.
Well, I like that in Lakeville, working with somebody in Hong Kong, but I'll have to figure out how to get my sleep adjusted or working across time. But let's talk a little bit, more about that. Let's about getting started up. Tom, how can a creative entrepreneur build a scalable business?
Well, first of all, they have a passion as an entrepreneur, and they have a skill. So perhaps their skill is graphic design, for example. They can begin to promote themselves as an expert in graphic design, and business can come in through the internet, complete it, and back out, and in between there can be a lot of back and forth. So without really any cost at all, except for your broadband at home, with the investment of some software programs according to your skill and your passion.
So that's a good thing to bring out. A lot of businesses have a high barrier to entry with costs and technology and so forth, but it sounds like you can become a creative entrepreneur pretty inexpensively. And you might already have all the tools in place with the internet and your broadband and the computers, so there really isn't any significant cost.
No, not at all. I mean, it's really, you can simply build a website today. It's so easy. And that's your first step, to have that, and then put up any, your expertise. Develop some just messages around your expertise, and building it up. What's really important is that passion.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I'm just thinking about that now, the website. I would think 10, 15 years ago, online with a website, I would never think about doing the design myself. I worked with somebody on it. But now I'm using WordPress, and with very little training and very little experience, I just started using it, and it's actually more time consuming to work with somebody than to just make the changes yourself. So I think, a lot of areas in the creative economy, they've become more user friendly, being able to get your hands around the tools and use and be able to develop creative businesses.
Yeah, and today we're doing our business cards online, right?
Mm-hmm.
Two great companies already that you can get your business card. So that's why you see a lot of business supply stores closing, because so much of it's happening on the internet. So we're having huge shifts.
Yeah, the challenges of brick and mortar.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. And they have to become, to survive, more customer focused and experienced.
Each business industry has its unique challenges. Tom, what are some key challenges creative entrepreneurs have to tackle?
Well, in this country, the creative economy is not that well known, unlike the UK or South Korea, for example, and to a certain degree, Southern Africa. So for people to understand with the creative economy, we see some limits in that, especially for economic development leaders in communities. So there are limits that way, but there's no limit in just jumping in and doing it with your talent. So just go ahead and start and forget the nomenclature. And I think as entrepreneurs, our book, Creative Economy Entrepreneurs, is really a good tool, because in the back, the last chapter, chapter 12, it talks about that. How do you start? What can you do? As long as, and the other chapters have great examples.
Yeah, so I see. So, you can dive in and get started with it, but there's things that leaders in business and government could be doing, to foster creative economy communities. Look what you can do to help with that, but there's nothing preventing you, even, lacking that kind of support. There's nothing preventing you from, getting into your niche of the creative economy.
No, and home businesses today are an important part of our economy. And so local officials recognize it. Making regulations easier is very important. And so that they can get the business going and be prosperous and increase wealth by doing it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I remember long ago, home businesses used to be illegal, and it stemmed back from they didn't want people doing product manufacturing or things like that out of your house. But now, it's a whole new world with, the creative economy. Well, let's talk a little bit more about that with business startup. What are some of the first steps you can do to start building your own creative economy business?
Well, make sure you've got a decent product, a product that has value, that you can put a price on. And again, it has to go back to this vision, this passion you have for a particular item. And there's all new methods today. For example, what's called lean startup, which is go out and ask people about the product, or go online and ask people and just see what they say, because often your potential customer, will give you new ideas. And if you would go out and ask 25 people about your new idea, you'll come back probably after that with a somewhat different product, but still it will be much more successful.
How about social media? Do you find that pretty important? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even YouTube, with connecting with those potential customers and getting some feedback?
Yes, I think more and more Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, not quite so much, and YouTube, like Instagram. There's a huge role for that. So, then getting set up for it is important.
So it sounds like kind of get out there and get started with it, and then be very careful. Hunt out those groups where you need to get feedback from. Take that feedback and channel that into, the next evolution of your creative economy business.
Right. Don't be afraid to fail.
That's for sure. Someone said something like 90% of business startups fail, the first time around. So you just got to have some persistence.
Absolutely. Keep on going. You don't have to keep pounding a bad idea into people, but, create something else and keep going. And you will, once you get that one, you'll never stop.
Tom, this has been a great discussion on the creative economy. Do you have any final points you would like to share?
No, just go on Amazon, look for the book, Creative Economy, Entrepreneurs, Startup to Success. It's a great book. It's about 400 pages, and it's in soft cover and e-cover, and at reasonable prices. So
okay, we'll put information on your book up on the podcast webpage for your podcast here.
Great, thank you. Yeah, no, I encourage everybody to start, and if they can look me up if they want to talk about something. I'm happy to speak with people and consult with them and mentor them.
Well, I think everybody's got something they could excel at creatively. You just got to find it.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. Yeah.
Well, Tom Augustin, thank you for being such a great guest on the Home Business Podcast.
To learn more about Tom Augustin, visit creativestartups.org or our podcast website for more information.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Home Business Podcast. Share your feedback with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at our website, homebusinessmag.com.
Visit the website for information on advertising. Subscribe to our newsletter. Please visit our sponsors. For more information, visit homebusinessmag.com or the Home Business Expo at homebusinessexpo.com.
I'm Richard Captain Henderson saying anchors away.
We'll talk with you soon. Until then,
make it a great home-based biz day.